Alright people, today we're talking about the HAMSKEA EPSILON and how I set it up and why you should not set it up the way that HAMSKEA wants you to. Alright, so I got two bows here. I got the Matthews V3 with the HAMSKEA EPSILON, and I have this year's V3X with the same exact rest, just tied in a little bit of a different way. So first I'm going to show you how the company wants you to tie it in. So you have it mounted to the bow, obviously through the burger hole, and then you got this little Allen here, okay? Just a little fastening thing. A lot of the QADs have it, cable driven refs. So what you do is you either tighten or loosen this to pull this down, which pulling this tag end drops this blade, which you want that tight to the riser. So in order to, say your blade comes up when you're hunting or something, in order to get that blade back down, you have to have an Allen that fits that. So say you're hunting and that blade pops up, you know, this gets pulled on, tugged on, that, say that just, or it breaks or anything. In order to reset this, you're gonna have to have that Allen with you, okay? You know, to loosen that and then to pull that back down to tighten that blade back down. And also another thing with this rest, the way that they have it set up, is there's a lot of cord here, okay? So you have that cord running all the way down to the limb dampener and then to, or the rebound dampener, and then to the bottom of your limb, the end of your limb. Okay, so that's a lot of cord. That's about, I don't know, 18 inches. So when you're at full draw, I'll show you here. When you're at full draw, when this cord loosens up, right here, when this loosens up, this sags out and goes over this, your quiver. And this is the V3, so the quiver is going to be a lot further away. So shooting on the V3X, that quiver is going to be a lot tighter, and this cord actually hits the quiver there, okay? And then this thing comes way out to here. And if you're hunting in brush or anything, that cord could catch on twigs, and if you get something in there, it's not going to be good. So on my bow, I did a little bit different. Okay, so same exact rest, same setup, everything. Only difference is, instead of the Allen, I'm running a Prusik knot. That focused. Yep, so no Allen. All I'm running is this, which I'll show you how to tie in a second. Right? So you can loosen it, you can tighten it, you can do whatever. No tools needed. And then on top of that, what I did was ran this cord and the rebound dampener to my cable. This little separator here. So instead of running it to that HAMSKEA bracket, which adds about, 6 inches of cord, maybe more, I'm running it up to that cable separator, or whatever you call it, I forget the name. Does the same exact thing. Timing is almost better, just based on the angle of the timing cord. And it just keeps that string from at full draw, coming out, hitting your quiver, going in between a stick, anything. Keeps it just a lot tighter, especially in the new bows with everything being so in line. So what I'm gonna do today is change this one with the factory settings to how I set it up. Or actually, first place I saw this was on, I forgot what his name is. It's Knights of Apex, I think his YouTube channel is. I don't know what his name is. I'll put it somewhere. So I'm gonna change this to this and I'll show you how to do it. Alright, so the first thing I'm gonna do is find my Allen somewhere in my pocket. Okay, first thing I'm gonna do right here is loosen this Allen. Okay, and I'm just going to take this little tightener all the way off. Okay. Okay, so now that I got my rebound dampener stripped and I got the cord off to the side, I'm taking my BCY 30 cord. Let me show you here. Okay, or BCY 24, I don't know where that came from. I got 3 feet of BCY 24, and all I'm gonna do now is tie a slip knot, okay? You can either do a D-loop knot or a slip knot. I think a slip knot is pretty close, but a lot easier to remove. So if you want to pause it there, or you can Google it yourself, all I'm gonna do is tie a slip knot on one end here. So now all I'm gonna do is right here, I'm going to run this slip knot through that. All right, so I'm gonna place that loop on the outside and run the tag end through both. And you want this to be on the absolute opposite side, okay? So make sure everything you're doing is on the quiver side of the bow, or the rest's opposite side, okay? So I ran that through both loops, and then what I'm gonna do here is tighten that slip knot down onto the tag end. So tighten that, and then slide it down to the bow there, okay? And that should be, I mean, that's pretty tight on there. Also, when you are tying this rebound dampener back in, make sure it is as close as you can get it to this yoke splitter. I don't know exactly why, but that is what they say to do. So listen to them on that. And when you're doing that, try to take the slack out between each of these holes when you're running the D-loop material through it, because it'll make the tuning process a lot faster. You're not going to have to shoot a bunch of arrows to get that slack out of it. You just take the slack out now. Also, maybe you would want to burn the end of this D-loop material because it's not fun. Okay, so that is about right where you want it, out of the way of everything. As you can see, it's a lot of a tighter, you know, before it was about, since it was connected to the limb, it was out here a lot. Now it's a lot tighter, especially at full draw. Okay, so now that I have that other end ran through my yoke splitter and through the closest hole on my HAMSKEA rest, I have about, oh, let me see, about 8 inches of tag end, right? And all I'm doing now is I'm tying a little knot on the end of that, just as a stopper for the Prusik knot, okay? So you're just tying a knot, just a simple knot. Simple knot, and I'm fluffing that end just like I did earlier and burning it back down. And a warm lighter always is nice. It's a little cold in Wisconsin. Right? Just burning that down. Creating a nice little ball on the end of this. So now that I got my knot on the end, all I'm gonna do is you're grabbing your tag end, wrapping it around your main line here, and you're doing one, so I'm going above it here, trying to stay out of my way. 1, 2, so there should be 3 wraps around it. So I'm going through that hole. So 1, 2, 3, and then I'm ending out through the hole here. Okay, so now I'm through it, and I'm coming down below my knot here, and in the opposite direction, so I'm going down below it, and on the back side of this main cord, coming around it again 3 times, just in the opposite direction. Okay? And that is it. So it should end on the inside of this. Okay? So it should look like that. Let me bring this a little bit closer here. right? And obviously that's a little bit loose, so all you're gonna do, pull it tight, work it back down onto itself, pull it tight again, and just kind of seat that cord in there. And it's obviously gonna take a little bit of working, but as you can see, I got a little bit of a tag end here, right? That's always nice just to keep that cord tight. And once you start getting that knot seated, pushing both ends together, pulling that tag end, pushing both knots, repeating that. Once you get that knot nice and seated correctly, you have your prusik, okay? All you gotta do now is pull it tight, and you got a tight timing cord. So from this side, I have my main line here, and I have my outside line here, which is the one wrapped around the main line. So if you look at this blade here, if I grab that prusik knot, push it up, I can work on my arrow, I can time my bow, I can do anything here since that's up. And if I want to tighten that back down, all you got to do is pull in your knot. And there you have it. That's how I set up my HAMSKEEs. Just a lot easier to work on in the field. If you need to loosen that, or you need to tighten it back down, say your blade's coming up and you're getting a tail high tear, just pull that down. A lot easier than having to mess with an Allen wrench and trying to find the correct Allen wrench, especially if you're on a hunt. That is a no-go. The other nice thing about this is just it's out of the way when you're drawn back. It's a lot less cord hanging off. A lot of the new bows are a lot more streamlined, so having that timing cord out by your quiver is not ideal. So there you go. That's how I set up the brand new HAMSKEE Epsilon.